Welcome, Buffs Global Network. I want to say welcome, Buffs Nation, but it's gone further than the nation at this point. And over the last couple of years, we've gone global. I know just in this little tiny show that you guys are watching that we've gone to Singapore. We have folks in Norway watching us, folks in Germany watching us. So there are people all over the globe watching Coach Prime and the University of Colorado. And this is really no different. And this showcase that Coach Prime put on, which is, the standard Colorado Pro Day. That I say standard. That was probably that was a misstep. So we normally have a pro day, but Coach wanted to obviously separate this out and make this a showcase. So it was the We Ain't Hard to Find showcase, and it was more than interesting. In fact, I watched probably 6 pro days this year. The one that I was focusing on was the most outside of Colorado was Miami because I wanted to see Cam Ward and how Cam Ward showed out and what that whole program, that whole pro day looked like. And I'll be honest with you, I was pretty impressed with it, right? And that was before the Colorado Pro Day. So at this point, I was thinking, I wonder what the Colorado Pro Day is going to be like. And then in videos, we saw kind of the backdrop of what was going to be going on and days before the showcase. And you knew it was going to blow up, and obviously it did. For those of you who didn't watch it, obviously it's on Bucky's channel. It's on the pregame channel, the pregame network channel, pregame show, the pregame show. It was everywhere, right? It was on the NFL network. NFL network had some spinoffs on that as well, and they showed different interviews. They showed highlights of the day. And then obviously Bucky, I think, did the best job because he got behind the scenes. He got a lot of the technical events like the vertical jump and the long jump and things like that. And I thought that was super great coverage, right? We would never have gotten that in the past. We would have just gotten, the basic coverage we would have gotten from Colorado football, which was always good, but it was never thorough because we didn't have a lot of people going, that had a shot to go to the NFL. And this year being really the first year, last year we had a few people. This year we obviously have quite a bit of talent going into the NFL. And it may not all be drafting, right? Some of them may not be drafted, and some of them may be picked up directly after it. I think they call it a preferred. I don't remember what it's called now, but in any case, we're going to have people that are going to be drafted this year, and we're going to have a lot of people picked up after the draft as free agents. And I think it's called preferred free agent, maybe something like that, where they're invited almost immediately after the draft to come and work out with the team for a potential spot on the team. A lot of people are going to get this opportunity possibly as special teams, which would be great to see our guys in special teams because that's kind of you get your foot in there, you make the team, you build yourself into a superstar, and I think that might be where some of these people go. But I wanted to give you my reaction, which is kind of the reaction that I've received from a lot of people back and forth with on X and in emails and things like that about what their reactions were to Pro Day, what they thought my reactions were to Pro Day. And so this is a good kind of step back into Colorado football. And I wanted to go over that real quick because I thought there were some winners, some definite winners in this, and people who I didn't honestly think we would see much of. And then there were some people that I thought, I don't know that I would say that anybody lost in this, and I'll go through that here in a minute. But I do think that there are some players that probably were a little bit neutral in this, meaning that I don't know if their stock rose. Their stock definitely didn't fall. And we'll go through those players as well. So welcome to the chat, guys. I appreciate everybody. Of course, Burl is here. Burl has always been a huge supporter. Love Moves has been a big supporter as well, and I appreciate you guys being here very, very much, and kind of sitting with me through this whole Colorado blow up that's happened over the last 2 years. And obviously, it's just continuing because with Coach Prime's extension, this is only going to get bigger. And this is the reason why I wanted to bring up this showcase, was because this showcase was way bigger than some of our players want to go to the NFL for the University of Colorado. because I'm a long-term Colorado guy back to the 70s, and I want to see, this thing grow for decades past this point. When Coach McCartney came and we started winning, and then we won a national championship. He left in 94. We won a national championship in 1990. That 94, he left. We got in a couple of notable coaches in after that. But really, it was never the same. But we still got recruits, and we were still a nationally televised team, ranked pretty consistently for another decade. And it would be awesome after Coach is not going to be here forever, right? But when he does leave, that we're good for another decade. But after him, it's probably going to be 2 decades. I mean, I can't imagine anybody not coming in, and they're never going to be able to fill his shoes, but maybe maintain what he had started and move forward. And it starts with this we ain't hard to find showcase. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring it up, because who was the biggest winner in this showcase? The biggest winner, as far as I'm concerned, was the University of Colorado. Coach Prime and the city of Boulder was by far the biggest winner in this. Shedeur is going to get drafted very highly in this draft. We know that. Travis could be even drafted higher than Shedeur, right? Both of them probably in the top 5 is what we're hearing right now. Some people even say both of them are going to be taken in the top 3, which would be obviously very good for Colorado football. But really, any notoriety for Colorado football in the future is going to be great. But who actually won out of this thing was the University of Colorado. We were so much better televised and marketed, not only from NFL Network and ESPN and some of those other notable huge outlets, but also the social media scene has gone straight off. It has gone straight off, and that includes this broadcast, actually. I went and counted. I saw over 200 different spinoffs of this, even if it was just small YouTubers in sports that were talking about specific events that happened there. We had, we had athletes that actually had spinoffs or had their own videos on this. And so it's being shot out everywhere, right? So we're getting tons of notoriety in this, and that's going to come back in a multitude of different facets. Obviously, enrollment is always a big deal with the University of Colorado and any university. When Coach Prime came, our enrollment went up. The diversity in enrollment went up. It was a huge, gigantic, big boost. And my daughter started there in 2020. And she even noticed a difference midway through her tenure at University of Colorado at just the change in the university overall. Not only the students, the amount of students, the faculty, the overall feeling around the campus, but everything has grown. And this pro day or this showcase that happened only goes that much further every time it's pushed out there by the media to grab more and more of these enrollees, right? So you have that one. You also have private investment, which not a lot of people talk about, but there has been a ton of private investment in the University of Colorado and in Boulder in general, based on the fact that Coach Prime is here and the success that he's had, and the coaches that he's brought in, and the change in the team that we have. So just the private investment alone is just enormous, and this pro day has a lot to do with that too, because this is this is like a football-free zone typically, right? Because we don't start seeing football again until we get closer to the spring games, and even then, a few years back, spring games weren't much of anything. And this year, a lot of spring games aren't even being played. And then you have the draft, right? And for Colorado, the draft wasn't really all that hot outside of about 20 years ago. And a little bit before that, there wasn't really a lot to look forward to in the draft. So that was kind of vacant too. So Colorado sat dormant for 6-8 months every year before we started playing football again. And Coach Prime just keeps inserting us into the limelight every single week, really. Every week something happens to keep us relevant in the media when nobody else is. All of college football, for the most part, is dormant right now, except for us. And this showcase was yet another element that Coach Prime brings in order to keep us that much more notable than any other entity, any other team, really, as far as that's concerned. And then the business development in Boulder. If you guys aren't from Boulder, if you're not from the Colorado area and going to Boulder that much, if you don't visit Boulder that much, a lot has changed in 2 years, guys. Like, a lot has changed. There's a lot of development going on that wasn't there to begin with, and you hear a lot about future development happening, and so that's further boldening the economics in that area, all due to Coach Prime, right? The number two best benefit of this showcase were future recruits, transfers, and current players. I'm going to bring these guys up because even though we had Shedeur and Travis out there, and we had, Chidoze and these other guys out there in the showcase, really who won from this, I think even more than them from the showcase, was our future recruits. Our future recruits are seeing, not only did they already know that Coach Prime was the coach that they wanted to go to, or maybe the coach they were thinking of, the other coaches that came on, all of our Gold Jackets and some of our other really notable coaches and coordinators that they might want to play for in order to develop into their career. But also this Pro Day or showcase also showed them the investment that Colorado and Coach Prime are making into their future. So when they come and they play for the University of Colorado, they're going to get a send-off unlike any other send-off from any other team. And they're going to have their opportunity, and if they prepare for it, and these guys are, maybe a sophomore in high school, let's say, or maybe they're just beginning high school, or maybe they're in the 8th grade, right? They're thinking, man, I have 8 years, 8 years to really start driving my development, get into the University of Colorado, have them help me with that development, and then I have, not only do I have the NFL Combine, if I'm not invited to it, I have the Big 12 Pro Day, which was a huge success. And then if not there, I also have a third one, which is the showcase, where Coach Prime and really everybody in the NFL is going to show up to this thing. Every notable media outlet's going to be there, and it's only going to grow. It's only going to get bigger. And you're going to be able to stand on that stage and show them what you have. And if the game film isn't enough, or if you want to enhance the game film, you have the opportunity to do that. Now, every pro day in college football gives people that opportunity. But this is unlike any other. This will actually put an asterisk on this day and help us in that recruitment. Okay? Transfer, same thing. There's going to be, the portal's going to be opening up here very shortly. And there's going to be a lot of transfers that are going to be seen in this showcase. Is that going to make the difference or not? We don't know. But could it be another thing that people are thinking about, especially grad transfers, let's say, coming in? I've got 1 year to really put some stuff out there. Coach Prime's going to give me the best opportunity to do that. And at the end, I'm going to have actually 3 showcases that I might be able to show myself in. But at very minimum, I've got the biggest showcase in college football from a individual standpoint. That I can show out in, and that might be the difference for them, especially those guys that have been around for a while and played a lot of games. We might actually pull some really, really tenured talent in here just based off of this day. This thing is going through my mind like it just keeps playing over and over and over again about if I had 1 year left and I wanted to make the most of that year, where would I go? And I think that makes that evident, right? Current players would be the third part of that group. The current players that are in there right now were, if they weren't there, they saw it and they heard about it and they are excited for it coming up, right? So they have 1 more year to put film on tape, or maybe 2 years or 3 years, wherever they're at in their tenure in Colorado. And then they have that one day to cap it off. And again, it's only going to get bigger. I can see Coach Prime already, the minute that thing was ended, started planning for next year and making it bigger. And then as soon as that's over, he's planning for the next year and the next year and the next year. And it's going to get bigger and bigger, right? My number 3 winner of this were the Colorado players, the players that actually were part of this showcase, right? And I'm going to break those down for you a little bit. And I think a lot of you, if you haven't already, put in the comments who you think was the biggest winner. I say winner. When I say winner, what I mean is the person that has the most opportunity to elevate, not only in their draft status, but their ability to actually make it into the NFL. So a lot of these guys may not be drafted straight out, but they'll still have opportunities. And those opportunities are very important, right? So You may not be taken in the, fifth, sixth, or seventh round, but you may be immediately invited to try out for a spot on the team directly after that. And I think that's what's probably going to happen to a few of our players. The showcase may have given them an opportunity. So when I'm looking at the chat here, I'm seeing Draylon Miller was kind of showcase too, working out with there were some people that weren't even going into the NFL this year that were highlighted in this thing, and it was really awesome to see this, right? So I'm going to say that my number one, let me flip the page here so that I know that I'm staying on cue, was Will Shepard. And I don't mean, what I'm saying here is I'm not talking about the person who showed out the best or the person who has the best chance of getting drafted or the person that's going to get drafted the highest. I'm talking about the people who made the most of their opportunity and probably did the most for their draft status and or ability to have an opportunity at the NFL, and that's Will Shepard. Will Shepard came out and, I'm going to say this point for a little bit later, but Will Shepard came out, and I don't know that a lot of people outside of Colorado really knew his name. And even though he was prolific, I think he had over 600 yards this last year. And, towards the end of the season was his prime time as far as I'm concerned, because the early part of the season, we were talking a lot about drops. We're talking about a lot about missed opportunities. We knew he had the skill and we knew he had the talent. And he was showing it out there, but his hands weren't really where his body was, where his mind was. So later in the year, he really stepped up, and towards the end of the season became probably not our most prolific receiver, but maybe our most prolific number 2 receiver, maybe number 3. But he was in that mix. And so it being so late and not the full year, right, I don't know that he got maybe the due that he was due. And in this particular showcase, I thought he did an excellent job. Was a pass missed? It was either 1 or 2 passes, sure, right? Was that just bad timing, or was that just a mistake? Whatever it was, it doesn't matter, because the other catches that he made up for it in spades. I thought he looked really good out there. His routes were crisp. He looked fast. Honestly, to me, he actually looked fast. He looked long too. He used every bit of that 6'4" frame in his catches, and I thought that worked out really well for him. But then when you get past that point and you look at just the measurables from the tech, from the long jump and from the vert, he excelled. I mean, the vert, he was at a 40.5, right? And if you look at, I'm going to pull up here. Let me pull something up here real quick. Actually, before no, I'm not going to do that. Hang on one second. I'm going to add this. I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something here from the NFL Combine. Let me pull up the NFL Combine results. Okay, I'm going to show you the NFL Combine results here, and add that to the scene there. We're going to go to wide receivers. Okay, and then we're going to go to the vert. So in wide receivers at the combine, now remember, Will Shepard was at a 40.5, right? Sam Brown, 41. Jalen Knoll, 41.5. And then Jalen Lane, 40. He would have been number 3 in the NFL Combine. And remember, he was not invited to the NFL Combine, right? So I just wanted to bring that up. Then let's go to the broad jump. And let's look at the broad jump. Now, he was what, 10-11, I think is what he was. Noel was 11-2. Isaiah Nair, 11-1. Jalen Lane, 11-0. Tez Johnson, right? Tez Johnson, who gets a lot of press. He got a lot of press last year. He's going to get a lot of press. He's going to be drafted. Obviously, he's going to be drafted, right? 10-11. So you're talking about a receiver who probably doesn't have the notoriety of any of those top players, actually placed in that top group in the long jump, okay? Now, his 40 time was not where a lot of 40 times were. So I'm going to pull that up real quick, his 40-yard dash. Let's pull it down here. Obviously, you guys saw this. Matthew Golden just went straight off, and so did Dante Thornton Jr. both pulling at a 4.3 or under. But if you look at this group of receivers, I'm just going to pull them up here. With I think that Will Shepard ran a 4.52 or a 4.53, right? So he was in that group. So here he is. Tez Johnson was a 4.51, right? Tez Johnson being one of what would be considered one of the, I'm not going to say the higher group of receivers that are going to be drafted, but I think Tez Johnson is going to be second or third round. I personally feel that just because of his Oregon roots, and they had a great year this year, being undefeated in the regular season and stuff like that. So I think Tez Johnson is going to get a lot of play. And Will Shepard was right in that group, right? Right in that group. And so when you're talking to me about Will Shepard going into this pro day or this showcase, I don't know that I really thought about it much, right? I thought more about what my number two biggest winner in this was Jimmy Horn. I thought Jimmy Horn was going to be the one that would steal the show for me, as it were. And Jimmy Horn did awesome. And we're going to go through that here in a second. But I thought Will Shepard, he rose the most from being maybe lowest on the list as far as I was concerned about who I thought would actually show up in this, to number one. And I don't even think it's close, guys. Like, I honestly think he went from undrafted to possibly drafted. And I think that if it isn't even, let's say, possibly drafted, I think that he could be instantly picked up by an NFL team after the draft. Okay, I think that within days of the draft, he'll be on campus at an NFL team. I really think that a lot of people are seeing him like that. This showcase did that for him. This showcase, with as many eyeballs that were on it, if it was any other pro day, if it was, whatever, let's say Oregon's pro day or something like that, I don't know that it would have gained the same type of speed that it's gaining now. But there are articles coming out as we speak about Will Shepard in this draft. And it's just going to continue all the way through the draft, guys. I promise you that. I feel it in my heart. I'm going to be so proud of Will Shepard when he is on an NFL team. Just because it was an awesome season last year. He went from scrutinized early to hero late to now queen to king of the combine. And I don't know. I feel like this is a big deal. He was not invited, and he should have been. And that's what I'm going to say about that. My number two, Jimmy Horn. So this was really close. LeJounte and Jimmy Horn both showed up very well in this. But I'm going to say that Jimmy Horn had it for me in this. And here's a couple of reasons why. It was his 4.40 that his 4.40 that really did it for me. He looked, even though it was a 4.4, and I know a lot of people are going to say it was a 4.46. When he was at the combine, it was a 4.46. He ran a 4.47 and a 4.40 that I saw. I'm going to give him, obviously, everybody's going to give him the 4.40. And I think he's faster than that. I honestly think he's a 4.3 guy in my heart. I think he's a 4.38, 4.37. You're in the middle of off season, and I don't know how cold you are, how much they worked out beforehand, how much you actually worked on his 40, because some people, they will work on their 40. And you're never faster than God intended you to be. I don't think you can be faster than God intended you to be. But you can max that out. You can get to as fast as you can be by working on that. And I think that at a 4.40, I think that is slow for Jimmy Horn. I think he's a 4.3. I said it 7 guy all day long. And you're not running a straight route, 90% of the time. You're cutting, you're doing button hooks, you're doing all these things out there, you're doing slants. So you're not running a 4.40 every day, right? But just to show the burst of speed, he showed that he could do that. And so I think Jimmy Horn, for me, got the number 2 most improved in this draft process out of this pro day. And then he followed it up with a 38-inch vertical leap. Again, I think he's probably closer to 40 inches all day long, right? But 38 is strong. If you were to look again, let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick, and let's go back to vert. Let me get up here, guys. I'm sorry about this. Let me get back to vert, and let's pull the vert up for wide receiver. And you'll notice that in the top probably 7, you got 38s, 38s and a half. There's Jimmy Horn at 38. This was his combine as well. So he was pretty consistent with that. But you got Trey Harris, you got Alec Manor, which obviously from Stanford. He is somebody that's going to be burned into my brain for a while. You have a lot of really good guys right in that 38, 38 and a half. So really strong presence there. 10'8" in the broad jump. Strong. Very, very strong, especially for a guy that's, he's listed at 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". That's great for 5'9", 5'10". He was really good with his routes. His routes were really crisp. He looked good in the horizontal movements in the drills. I think probably the two things that stuck out to me the most for Jimmy Horn was the over-the-shoulder catch in which he rolled, got up, and did a backflip. To me, that has nothing to do with football, the backflip part, right? But he was celebrating the fact that he was able to pull that in, and it shows his athletic ability. I mean, he didn't even pause for a second. His athletic ability is awesome. And then I'm going to follow up with my last point for Jimmy Horn. He looked like a physical specimen at this show. I mean, he was ripped. He is ripped like you could not believe, right? And for a guy his size to show that amount of physical dominance, right? Not only on the field, but just the way he looks like he's ready for the NFL. I mean, he even has a tattoo on his arm. I mean, this guy is ready. And so I think that elevated him from maybe undrafted or low draft to, I think Jimmy Horn is going to be drafted in the 7th round. And if he isn't, he's going to be immediately invited to an NFL team where he has an opportunity to make it. And I think both him and Will Shepard have what it takes if they're invited to an NFL team that they are going to make that team. I feel certain of it. And so you're talking at that point, you've automatically got Shedeur being drafted. You automatically have Travis being drafted. And I think you have these two guys being drafted as well. I'm going to predict that right now. I think they did that good job. My number 3, and this is the last person that I think elevated themselves in this space, okay? And I say elevated meaning truly elevated, like I thought they made a move. And this is going to seem silly, guys, but it's Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter's already considered to be the 2nd or 3rd pick in this draft. So how can you elevate that, Chris? And here's the reason why. Is because I have seen a draft prognosis or 2, right? Mock draft that shows him being number 1. Now, why would anybody pick him? Why would anybody? Why would you pick Travis over Cam Ward? I don't know. I'm impressed with Cam Ward. I really am. I'm impressed with Shedeur Sanders as well. Guys, you're going to roast me for this. I'm impressed with Jackson Dart as well. I think those 3 quarterbacks, all 3 of them are very close. And I think that all 3 of them are going to be successful in this league. In some spaces, I would say Shedeur's number 1, Jackson Dart's number 2, and Cam Ward's number 3. I know that you probably never heard that before, but in my head, I'm just thinking, I think Shedeur's better than – he didn't show it in the pro day compared to Cam's pro day. Cam's pro day, if you haven't watched that pro day for Miami, that ball was so tight. If it had hit anything, it would have shot into outer space. I mean, Cam really, he used every ounce of that day to his benefit. And I think he secured that number 1 spot. We'll go into Shedeur's pro day here in a minute, but back to Travis. I think Travis, by just showing up, okay, just showing up, supporting his teammates, like Shedeur said at the beginning, he didn't need to be there and do that. Shedeur didn't need to do that. He did that for his team. He did that for his dad. He did that for University of Colorado. He didn't need to do that for himself. And Travis feels to me, even though I don't know that I heard him say it, I felt the same thing. I felt he was there to not only support Shedeur in this fight for number one QB, but also to support his fellow players. He didn't need to do this to stand out to anybody. And by him being there, elevated the rest of his team significantly. It put light on Will Shepard. It put light on LeJontay Wester. It put light on Jimmy Horn. And that to me shows that something everybody knew is he is a team player and he's always going to be for the betterment of the team. And this proved that. Not only that, but he didn't drop a ball. His routes looked like, you could put the number one defensive back on him and he would have shook him, even in air, without a defensive back being on him. One of the NFL Network commentators said, I think he's moving around too much or something like that. He just needs to run a route, and that might turn off some scouts or something like that. And I'm paraphrasing because it just struck me as odd that he said that. I feel completely different. I think he's showing his ability to lose defensive backs and get his quarterback some time if his quarterback needs some time. He can stay in space and he can move around and he can be open. And I think that's worth the price of admission right there. And so that's the reason why I think Travis actually rose in this compared to maybe some other folks, even though he didn't need to. And it's odd to say he rose from number 2 to number 1. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I think this was a very positive thing for him to be there. And he showed off his personality. I mean, everything about it just seemed really, really good, right? Now, I'm going to get, let's go to, let me take my screen off of here. And let's go to some comments here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm behind in comments because I'm just so excited. I haven't talked Colorado football to you guys in so long. I talk it every day at work and with friends and with fellow Buffs fans, but not on here. Kev Barr says, Will Shepard looked good. Love Moveset agreed. The biggest winner was CU. That is I 100% agree with that. Burl says, now that CP is extended, he and Colorado have an opportunity to dominate Big 12 and build something akin to what Saban did in Alabama. I agree with that. And I think the Big 12 is the right conference for Prime to do that. And Prime owns the Big 12. If he was in any other conference, I say if he was in the Big 10 or if he was in the SEC, I don't know that he would own it as much because there's a lot of personalities and a lot of really good teams in that conference. But where he's at now in the Big 12, he owns the Big 12. And he owns it personality-wise. He owns it from the standpoint of being a leader amongst the other coaches in the Big 12. I think a lot of them now at first may have been turned off by him from what I heard, right? Some of them welcomed him. I think all of them are looking to him now because they see what he's doing. They see how he's elevating his team, elevating his school, how he's elevating the Big 12, how the rest of those teams are being elevated on the back of Coach Prime and University of Colorado. They're going to start following that. You're going to see Oklahoma State, who I laugh about jokingly because I am also an OU fan. And Oklahoma State is the nemesis of OU. And, I kind of go back a little bit with that family and just knowing that there's resistance there, but you're going to see the change because the change has to happen in order to stay relevant in the Big 12 and in college football. It makes me happy to see that even people who begrudge the fact that college football is changing are going to have to change because of this, right? So let's get back to the neutral, okay? I don't think anybody lost in this. Like looking at it, I don't think anybody did worse to themselves by being there. But I do think some players showed up and they're exactly who we thought they were. And so their draft status or their ability to be drafted or their ability to be picked up by an NFL team, I didn't see move a lot, right? The first one was Shedeur. Okay, so Shedeur, he came out and said, essentially, again, paraphrasing, he didn't have to do this. We knew he didn't have to do this. We were all very, very happy that he showed out for the University of Colorado, showed out for Coach Prime, his dad, and also showed out for his team because they really needed him in this. Him being there shone light on everybody. That's the only thing he needed to do. He didn't need to complete a certain amount of passes. His ball didn't have to come out of his hands a certain way. He just had to be him, and he was, right? The good parts of it was he looked good. He commanded the team. He commanded the room. And really, that's what he's kind of building his whole thing on is I'm a leader, right? And you can watch my game film and you can see that I'm 70+% completions. I know my pocket presence. He wasn't on the best team last year, not last year, the year before. So his stats were a little bit hurt by that with the sacks and everything. But his command of the whole program showed that he can lead a multi-billion-dollar team into the future. And that's what I'd love to see from him. Now, when you look at what the NFL analysts were saying, they were picking apart the ball didn't look clean short range. His long range throws looked really good. His short range throws wobbled a little, had a little bit of tail on them. Maybe weren't the most crisp. You heard a lot of pops from the gloves and stuff like that, which was good. But they were, you could see they were picking on him. Not picking on him, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Picking on the presence of the football and things like that. I thought that, and then as quick as they were saying that, it was completely admonished and no one ever talked about it again. So, I thought for him coming out and having that team mindset was super important for this showcase to happen. And every one of his teammates were better for him doing it. And so congratulations to Shedeur. I still think he's going to go number 2 to Cleveland. Oh my God. I don't want, this is my soapbox for a second, just for a second, guys. I love Shedeur Sanders. There isn't a team in football that I am the most concerned about for him going to than the Cleveland Browns. But I really enjoy the fact that if he can be the number 2 overall pick and take a team like the Cleveland, who it basically eats quarterbacks and coaches, and turns it into a perennial winner, man, would that be the greatest thing that could happen to Shedeur, is to go to the franchise that couldn't and make it a could franchise is really kind of what I'm looking for that. So that said, I think Shedeur had a good showing. Cam Silman Craig. In the comments, guys, tell me about Cam showing there. And really, we're just talking about stats at this point. His measurables were low. And when I say low, they weren't low, but they were lower than I thought they would be. And if you look at that chart that I put up, and I'm not even going to go through those measurables so much, they were in the middle to the bottom group of that, right? But there's something about Cameron Silman Craig that is different than most other people in that safety position, or really players in general, right? So I'm going to say that the measurables might have been a little stagnant. The game speed is different, right? So his 40 was a little off, but you're not running a 40 every single minute as a safety in college football. A lot of it has to do with lateral movement and things like that. And laterally, he looks super, super crisp, right? So the game speed is totally different. And in game speed, his speed is as fast as we need him to be. In fact, it's faster than most people are. And I think it's in that elite group of safeties that are out there. And so I think that's going to be erased from that standpoint, right? His leadership and his intelligence far outweigh any of the combine stats and things like that happen with Cameron Silman Craig. So could his stats been a little low, and could have, I heard a couple of people say that might have hurt him in the draft. I'm saying that what they saw from him on the field and what Coach Prime says about him to these teams, and he's talking, not only him, but also Robert Livingston. Robert Livingston could probably be his biggest cheerleader to these NFL teams. I mean, Robert Livingston is one of them. Robert Livingston did this, last year. right? And the year before that, and the year before that, and 12 years before that. He was evaluating talent for the NFL, and he can tell anybody he wants to about what he thinks about his defensive staff, even the offensive or defensive players, even the offensive players. And I know that Cam Silman-Craig's high on his list, and a lot of it has to do with his ability, his intelligence, and his leadership on the field. And that right there will outweigh any straight line physical speed or vertical jump. I'm telling you that right now, especially as a safety. I think that is the most important thing. He could be the leader of a major defense in the NFL. It might take a couple of years of getting involved and developing in the NFL, but I honestly think that he is going to get picked up by a team. I can't say at this point that I think he's going to be drafted, but if he is not drafted, I think that he would be invited to an NFL team to try out, and I think that they will immediately see what he has available as far as that's concerned. So Love Move says, let me go down here to the bottom because I asked you guys to tell me some things about what you thought about Cam. Cam has a Jimmy Butler effect on the field. His stats may not show it, but he elevates the play of everyone around him. That is 100% what I was trying to say. So thank you. I have missed this page. Totally agree with you. I think he could turn the Browns around. That was probably about Shedeur. Guys, throw some comments in there about Cam. Is he more than what he showed in, whatever small amount of time was devoted that we saw to the showcase? He talked to NFL teams out there, and they had to be impressed with him. Plus, they're going to look at game film, like he said in his post showcase wrap up. He said, "Watch the game film. That's all you got to do. Watch the game film." Shadeur's the same way. Shadeur's like, I can go to the combine and I can run a 40-4. You're going to do those other things. I'm probably, I'm not even going to say that, but he says that, right? He doesn't play in the Senior Bowl. He doesn't really do much until this from a showcase standpoint. But he doesn't have to, because you can look at his game film and you can see what he did, right? All this other stuff is made for players that really want to just jump up there and smack the wall and say, my game film may not have been what you guys thought it was, or maybe you missed me in game film, but I can run a fast 40, or I can hit a 40-inch vertical, So I have an athletic skill, and I wasn't given an opportunity on this team. But Shadeur's not that guy. Cam Silman-Craig is not that guy. He was very prolific in our defense for 2 straight years. And therefore, I think, he's going to be, if he's going to be drafted, he might be drafted in the 6th or 7th round, but he may actually end up going on to a team after the draft, be a free agent. And I think that he'll make a team. I really do. But as far as the showcase was concerned, I thought he was neutral, right? I didn't think he rose, and I didn't think he fell. Chidozie. I'm going to throw Chidozie in there because all I've talked about really outside of Cameron is offense, because we saw most of that in the showcases. We saw that offensive show up. Chidozie hitting 30 reps in the bench press. And just not only that, but I wanted to show you this. So let me go through this really quick. I'm going to pull this video up, and I'm going to show you, if you haven't already seen it, I know you guys, the ones that are in here, Love Moves, and all you guys have been around here. Stephanie, Burl, you guys have been around here for a minute with me. Let me pull this up real quick, and I'm going to show you this. But this is Chidozie, right? And he is getting set for the bench press. So even more than hitting 30 reps in the bench, right? And I'm going to show you here in a minute how that stacked up to the NFL Combine. You're going to be blown away. Totally blown away when I show you this. So I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to show you the results from the NFL Combine. But I think he's 5'11", right? 290 pounds. He's probably over 300 pounds now. That stat's probably old. I would really like to hear what he weighs in at, right? I didn't see that. So if anybody knows, throw it up in the chat. It's the way that he prepped for this lifting event. If you watch him, he arched his back. He drew in his shoulders a little bit. He knows the mechanics of lifting. And you can tell in his play last year, he plays the same way. He knows leverage. He knows how to use leverage. And if I'm someone from the NFL and I'm looking at someone that I can take maybe after the draft, that I could throw in there and see how they could do, invite them to a camp and have them show what they can do, this would be one of the guys that I would do it to. And so even though I have him neutral because you didn't see anything really from him outside of this bench could be the difference. So let me show it to you real quick.
35.
All right. So he's already back, and he's just going to go out. Boom, boom, boom. You can see his posture
Come on.
is the same as when he played. He is just trying to get the most progress that he can out of this pit. And he knows that this is...
Come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Accolades all around, everybody giving them up. Everybody knew. I mean, I think we all knew that he was the coolest.
Selman Craig.
And I thought that particular event for him is going to give him some notoriety, and I hope that people see that and they understand it. Now, let me drop that real quick, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pull up that same sheet that we had before on the NFL Combine. And I'm going to show you, let's go up here to bench. And then we're going to choose defensive tackles. And we're going to go down here. Number 1 was Jordan Phillips at 29 reps. Shane Cokes did 29 reps. Shane Cokes did really awesome in this, right? Darius Alexander, 28. Eric Gregory, blah, 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 blah. All the way down the line. And Chidozie smoked him. That one extra rep, you think, it's just 1 rep. Dude, that's 1 rep at 225 pounds. That's after doing 29 of them, right? At this point, if I did 1, it'd be a miracle, right? So this guy's done 30. He would have been at the top of the defensive tackles from a strength standpoint. And being 5'11", his vert, I don't even remember if I even looked at his vert in the Colorado. Let me look at this real quick. I've got the Colorado Combine pulled up. I'm going to see if he did a vert. Let's see. Bench press vert. Cokes was 30. That's pretty darn good. 30 inches from the defensive tackle. Nwankwo was 28 inches. So a little bit less than that 30, but really 28. I mean, in the group in this chat right now, if any of you could hit 28, I would bow down to you because I don't think I can hit 28. At one time, I was like 35, 36. But 28 is pretty good for a guy that goes 300 pounds and is 5'11 and built like a brick. This guy is built like a brick. So I'm going to say in my neutral was Chidozie, and I'm going to put neutral in there because I don't know that he is on really a lot of draft boards. And this showcase from him might put him on one, right? Or it might give him some notoriety. It obviously is going to have him talking to the NFL reps that were there during this showcase, right? And I would love to see some of those interviews. I've not seen any of them yet, but I wanted to throw Chidozie out there as well. And then last on this list, and I'm not going to put it as neutral, and I'm not going to put it as rising. I'm not going to really put it as anything. But really the thing that a lot of people were looking for is what did Shiloh do, right? What did Shiloh do? Obviously, Shiloh was a guy that wasn't hiding in the background. He played most of the snaps of the year for the last 2 years at safety. He is notably one of the coach's sons. He played for South Carolina, we know that. He played for Jackson State as well, and then came here to play as well, and he was a grad student. So Shiloh's played a lot of football, right? He is well known. People know him, right? There's been a lot of, I'd say, differentiating opinion on whether he is going to be drafted or not going to be drafted. And where I kind of put what I saw in print and what I saw in video, especially after pro day. If I were going to pin it on there, I would say he's a late 7th round draft pick, and I think he's going to be drafted. And that's probably going to cause a lot of people in the chat and in the comments later on to say, no way in hell is Shiloh going to be drafted, right? Then there's going to be that group that say he's going to, and it's going to be a small group that say he's going to be drafted higher than the 7th round. I think that Shiloh, even though he didn't go to the combine, right? He wasn't invited to the combine, and his stats 4.52 in the 40. 4.52 is not bad. If you look at the NFL combine, he would be towards I would say the bottom 3/4, but still within the bottom 3/4. So there's some of those guys that were invited to the NFL combine that ran way slower than a 4.53 guys, okay? And they were invited to the dang combine. So, is straight line speed as a safety the most important thing? I don't think it is. In my opinion, it's not. That's what we're talking about, Cameron Simon Craig. It has to do with lateral movement, and more importantly, it has to do with leadership, and it has to do with the ability to be in the right place at the right time based on what you're reading, and be able to make that tackle. Shiloh can make a tackle. We know that. Cameron Simon Craig, pardon me. Cameron Simon Craig, one of the best tacklers I think we've had on Colorado's defense in a number of years. And I think he was probably our best tackler last year. And I'm going to save that also for like BJ Green and those guys as well. So, is that straight line speed all that big a deal? No. 9.5 in the broad jump. 9.5 is not it's not cracking the world open. But again, we know he has athleticism, right? And I don't know how much he trained for this showcase or not trained for it. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. He opted out of the bench. So we don't really know a lot about Shiloh. And unfortunately, a lot of other NFL teams probably don't know a lot about him as well outside of his game film. And his game film is mixed, right? Now, keep in mind, guys, I'm a Colorado fan. I'm a huge Coach Prime fan, obviously. I mean, my license plate has Prime on it. I'm a big fan of the family. But I got to call it like it is, I mean, the game film this last year was hot and it was cold. It was hot and it was cold. It was hot and it was cold. And I think it was probably more hot than cold, which is good. And he was a great safety for us. And I really wanted him to just kind of go all out this last 4 months and just be everywhere he could be, showing his athleticism. And I think that this showing in the pro day might be what it takes. You also have that Sanders kick. And I'm going to say the Sanders kick because I think that he might have the ability to get into the draft because people know his upside might be similar to his dad's upside, right? His upside might be in some of his best games, he was a very good safety. His upside in the NFL may be that all the time, right? So you never know what's going to happen. I haven't even looked. I'm afraid to look at the comments now, guys, that I said this, but I had to say it without looking or I wouldn't say it. But in order to be who I am in this space, and you guys know I'm not trying to make a living as a sports guy, YouTube sports guy. I'm never going to be that guy. I don't do it enough. There are many more people that are better than I am at it. The only thing I have going for me is I'm uniquely me, and me being the fact that I am such a Colorado fan and such a Colorado buff from when I was a kid. Sometimes it's hard for me to separate and be pragmatic about things. And with Shiloh, I need to be pragmatic, and I need to say that I want the best for him in the NFL. And I said I think we all want the best for him in the NFL, and we want for him to show up. I hope that he has that same drive, right? So we're going to see that coming up. We're going to see what happens. I 100% believe he's going to be invited to several NFL teams if he's not drafted, and he's going to have an opportunity out there doing his thing, right? So, but that's all I'm going to say about that. We can talk about BJ Green. We can talk about a lot of other people, but And I think most of them, either in the NFL Combine, in the Big 12 Pro Day, or in the Showcase, did enough to keep themselves relevant in this draft. And I think some of them might be drafted low or taken to an NFL team afterwards as a free agent, an undrafted free agent. And so I think it's possible that we could see as many as 5 or 6 people in NFL camps this summer. And that would be great. It might even be more than that. It could be more than that. It probably will be more than that. Making an NFL team, I'm going to say 4 to 5 making an NFL team this year. That would be huge because we're not used to 4 or 5 guys all in one class going into the NFL outside of 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years ago. So what a freaking great day for this showcase to happen. Much winners, many winners, many winners. All right, so let's look at this and see what you guys have to say. Stephanie Dasher says, I'm going to get rid of this screen real quick, guys. I am so sorry. Give me 1 second here. All right, Stephanie is back. She says, I follow because you're heartfelt buff. I'm a new buff, so we need that viewpoint. Well, I appreciate that. Go Bucks is on. Hey, Go Bucks. It's been a while. Shiloh knows how to be a pro, knows how to take coaching and creates turnover, stays out of trouble. NFL looks at these things. That's a very good viewpoint on that. He's clean. So Go Bucks. I feel like you're saying he's a clean player. He's got that NFL lineage. And it's kind of what, as I was saying before, he's a Sanders. So, he's going to take the coaching. He's going to be exactly who I think Coach Prime wants him to be, who he wants to be, and who NFL teams think he can be. But that's just a lot of hope for NFL teams. I think he can do this, and I think he can too, and I think that's going to be the biggest difference for him there. Love moves, loves Stephanie Dasher. We all love Stephanie Dasher. Nice kid, not a great player, says A1. The Sanders kick, well said. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, even Shedeur has a Sanders kick, guys. I'm not even going to go there. But anytime you can be associated with Coach Prime, whether you're his son, whether you're a coach that coaches with him, a friend that knows him and he can help you along the way, a player that plays for him that wants to do different things, either go into the NFL or start a business. A lot of these guys that may not make an NFL team may go and start a business, right? And Coach Prime will probably be there in support of them as well. Not only with knowledge, but they have a lot of them are graduating with a Colorado degree, as well as maybe degrees, I say, with learnings from other universities. So a very diverse education from that standpoint, being with multiple universities in some cases. Just being part of that Coach Prime tree is going to benefit them, and Shedeur is no different. Shedeur is always going to have the support of his father, the support of every one of his father's friends, and support of every NFL team going throughout his entire career. He goes to the Browns, let's say, and the Browns, guys, I'm just being me, okay? I'm just being me. The Browns do what the Browns do, and it doesn't move all that much for for Shedeur. Traded, or as a free agent, goes to the Cowboys, takes the Cowboys to 3 Super Bowls, becomes one of the greatest quarterbacks in Cowboys history. Right? Who hasn't been on that journey? Kurt Warner. Come on, guys. Everybody's been on that journey, right? Likely he'll go to the Browns. Likely he'll turn the Browns around. The Browns will be a great team, and the Broncos are going to have to play him in the playoffs, and that's going to make me sick. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm talking a lot, not drinking a lot. I'm getting a sore throat. But I digress. I'm going to go back into these. Kev Barr says, Trav looked much bigger. He's definitely been hitting the weight room. Okay, I didn't mention that. Trav, you are a genius. Did I mention that? That's one of my notes, and I'm sure I didn't say it. Travis's physical presence is different right now. He looked way bigger. He looked taller. Maybe it was his hair. I don't know. He looked taller. And he looked bigger. His calves still got those skinny calves, but I think that's just a Travis thing. I think Travis is always going to have those skinny calves. You don't need to have big calves if you're Travis Hunter. But he did. He looked really big and put into an NFL weight room and given 3 years. I mean, he's going to end up being 205, 210. If he even wants to be that big, he probably likes the weight he's at right now because his fast twitch. I mean, his body's just built like that, right? So, but he did look bigger. He looked impressive. Just all the way around, Travis is just like probably the most. He is 100% the most exciting person in this draft to me. Exciting meaning what I think he's going to do for the team that drafts him immediately. I think Travis is going to be the one guy that is going to transform his team. You know, you look at some of the other players that are out there in this draft. You know, Cam Ward. I don't think Cam Ward's going to turn it around in year one. You know, if Shedeur Sanders goes to the Cleveland Browns, I hope he turns that team around. But man, there's a lot of turning. That's like a 700-foot long semi-trailer trying to turn around in a parking lot. You probably have a really good driver, but you got to get that thing turned and miss all the light poles. And so I think quarterbacks going into a team have probably a shorter opportunity to turn them around in year one. But long term, the upside is huge, right? I think Travis, being who Travis is, being used in the way that Travis wants to be used, and a team that drafts him, let's say, I'm not even going to say who, but has any kind of a quarterback that can get the ball to him, I think that he could make the difference for a team in year one. I think he could make them playoff eligible in year one. And even if they play him on defense a little bit, especially against teams that he needs to be playing against, I think that he could be the biggest player. Love Move says, it's all business. Shallow can bring a team, eyeballs, media hype, merchandise sales. Whether he's good or not, somebody draft him. All right, so Love Moves, you said something that I didn't want to say. But that's part of the whole Sanders thing is that, you know, whatever team Shedeur goes to, and they got to be thinking about this. Same with Shiloh, but primarily Shedeur. The merchandise sales are going to skyrocket. Like they're going to go from not selling anything, right? Watson jerseys. How many Watson jerseys are they selling right now if he goes to Cleveland? To transforming the team monetarily and doing a somewhat of a Coach Prime makeover of Colorado to Cleveland. And I'm pretty sure that Coach Prime is going to be involved in that too. You don't think Coach Prime is going to be in the hip pocket of that owner, right? Helping them along the way get their entire program turned around. I mean, when you're talking about it from that standpoint, Cleveland Browns may be the perfect organization for that. They need a complete overhaul from top to bottom. And this may be where he needs to go in order to do this. Maybe it's manifest destiny. Maybe he gets drafted, and maybe I don't know if he wants to go there or not. I don't want him to go there. I don't think anybody I've ever seen said, yes, I want him to go to the Browns. But maybe that's what has to happen in order to make the Browns relevant again. And I don't know. I've been talking a lot. Good to see you, Greg. It's been a while, Eva's mom says. Go Buck says, Travis plays positions that don't hit like they did in the past is a huge factor. 100% agree with that. Stephanie says it's because Myles Garrett putting his foot down is why I believe Shedeur will make a big difference. I agree. Myles Garrett may be with Shedeur Sanders if he ends up going to the Browns. You know, I might step that back again and saying with the two of them that they might be able to make a difference for the Browns in year one. But you're right on that, Stephanie. Thanks for bringing that up. Travis is going to make a big difference. A1 says, like your show, and I wish you the best. If nothing else, you can be part of Little Wayne's posse. Yeah, I honestly don't feel like I'm going to be invited to that posse, but if he invited me, I'd be there. Go Buck says, I think at least 8 will be on an NFL roster next year. Wow, Go Bucks. If you want to, Go Bucks, while you're on this thing, would you put down there what 8? We're going to be here for about another 5 minutes while I go through some of this stuff. And then I've got a special video. I say a special video, a special live coming up I want to say it's going to be on Tuesday night. I'm going to try to make it tomorrow night, but it might be Tuesday night. So hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. Hit the notification bell. Most of the folks in this chat I already know are longtime supporters of mine, and I very much appreciate it. But I'm gonna have another show here pretty quick, a special show kind of going over Coach Prime and the quarterback specifically for this group. I'm not going to put out my position rooms until we get through the transfer portal, so I can make sure that they're accurate. Because I think we're going to be picking up some pretty big time players in this transfer portal. I think this pro day is a big deal with the transfer portal. I think a lot of people might navigate our way that may not have in the past, or may not have thought about it in the past, just because they saw it, they know what's happening. We stated our needs. We stated all the position rooms are open. They're wanting to get eyeballs on them. So I think our position rooms are going to change. In the next 3 weeks, they're going to be totally different. So I'm going to save my position room videos, which have been kind of my core for this channel, until after that's done, so that we can make sure that they're comprehensive. So go Bucks. Thank you for coming back on that. So he says, BJ, Jimmy, I agree. Wester, I agree. Chidozie, I agree. Shepard, I agree. Shiloh, I agree. Travis and Shador. Okay, you're right. That's 8. 5, 6. Okay, so you're right. 8. Now I believe in my heart, I believe all those guys will be invited to NFL camps. I personally don't think that all 8 are going to make it. I think 5 or 6 of those are going to make it. 4 or 5 of those are going to make it. I think that, I mean, just to be real with you, go Bucks. Chidozie, I think he is awesome, and he is strong. And given an opportunity, he could make a team. I think it would have to be the right team. And is he going to be invited to that team? That's the problem. Is you have 32 teams. You're invited to an NFL team camp, right? You might be invited to 4 or 5, and you have to choose which one you're going to. And you have to make sure that you do this right. I mean, as a guy that's trying to make this team, which team do I fit in the best that has the most need for Chidozie, right? So he's going to go in there, he's going to press any team, but will they have room for him, right? Are there other people in that camp that might be 6'3" and have another 20 pounds on them? I mean, who knows what these NFL guys think? You know, everybody's about the prototypical person, right? They want their slot receivers to be, you know, a 4.29, and they want them to be 5'9", about 175 pounds, or 165, 175 pounds, 185 pounds, right? Slot receivers. They want their big guys to be 6'4", you know, 225, with giant hands and a 80-inch wingspan. So I don't know. I'm not in the NFL. I don't know any of these NFL guys, but I can see they're thinking prototypical. Like, I need to start with a platform, and the platform is with my big guys. I want them 80 inches. I want them hitting a 40 vert. I want them hitting a 10-8 broad. I want them to be able to run a 4.5 40. And I want them to be able to digest a playbook in 2 weeks. And if they can do that, then they're going to make this team. I don't know. Maybe it's you get into the weight room and Chidozie benches one of the offensive linemen 10 times just to make a statement for himself. And the team goes, we can't do without this guy, right? This guy is a bulldog. All we got to do is just let him go and he'll eat everybody. Maybe that's what they look at, right? But so I think of all that group that Go Bucks put out there, I think Chidozie probably has the longest shot, but also I think he's the most intriguing from that standpoint. Stephanie Dasher says, yeah, I agree, not all 8, but I'm praying they do. Just like Weaver last year, he's on the practice squad. He's fantastic. That is what's calmed down my expectations. I agree. And I can 100% see Chidozie making a practice squad. So if we're talking an active squad, I don't think 8. If I think a practice squad potentially, yeah, maybe more than 8. I mean, we have some more guys in there. I mean, maybe Shane Cokes makes it to a practice squad. Shane Cokes is a great leader. He is a super intelligent guy. like that guy could probably teach the playbook to a lot of other players that probably are, I don't know, bigger, faster, stronger, whatever, but don't have his acumen and don't have his ability to coach. I can see Shane Cokes as a coach, guys. I really can. I think he's going to play in the league. I think it might take him a few times to try to get onto a team, but I can certainly see him as a coach. And I would love to see him as a coach at the University of Colorado. I'm going to say that about Shane Cokes. I have a very high regard for Shane. I've met him a couple of times briefly, and just in the amount of time that I've seen him at the University of Colorado and seen him engage with people around the community, I honestly feel like we need him as a coach. If he doesn't go to the league, Coach Prime needs to pick him up as a grad assistant here at University of Colorado. I'm going to say that right now. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I was just given the wrap-up signal by my family. I hate to go because I'm having so much fun with you guys. You guys have been great. I'm going to be on here again this week, and I hope you guys join. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Go Buffs. And thank you very much to all of you guys that have been in the chat today, welcoming me back, and I will see you in the next video.